This is Matthew 27, starting in verse 41. It says, "In the same way the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. He saved others, they said, but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.' In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, 'My God, why have you forsaken me?'" We see throughout the whole journey leading up to the cross actually echoes of Psalm 22. Psalm 22 verses 6 through 9 says, "But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him." Or Psalm 22:16, "Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircle me. They pierce my hands and my feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garments." And then Psalm 22:1, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish?" When Jesus was speaking these words on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Forsaken in Aramaic is literally, why have you left me alone? And this is probably the moment of Jesus' most human experience. For the first time in his life, he was separated from God. And personally, I've never been in that place of anguish where I felt like God is far from me. However, I was shopping this summer with my oldest daughter, Adley. She's 4 years old. And I was trying to get in and out of the store quickly. I don't actually usually bring the children with me because it's very distracting. But Adley and I were running a quick errand, and she was having fun weaving in and out of the racks of clothing. I was trying to keep one eye on her and one eye on trying to find the outfit that I was looking for. Do you remember that? And she thought it was so fun until that moment where she couldn't see me. And actually, her and I both had this panic moment where I thought she was right here, and she wasn't there, and she wasn't there. And it honestly was probably 15 seconds, but in that moment, it's amazing how, as a parent, every bad thing that could possibly happen can come into your mind. In my mind, she was already in the parking lot in danger of being hit by a car. And when I finally saw her come around the corner, I saw this look of panic in her eyes. And many of us can relate to that moment. Even as a child, we can still remember that moment of separation from our parents, where we feel separated from their protection, their provision, their love, and their care for us. Or even as a parent, we've had those moments of panic, where we can't find where our child is in that moment. And so this is the best way that I can relate what Jesus is experiencing right now on the cross. For the first time in his life, he is separated from God. And an interesting fact, Mark tells us that Jesus was nailed and hung to the cross about the 3rd hour, or 9 a.m. in the morning. And then when we're reading here his final moments, it's about 3 p.m. So about 6 hours have passed. Now, for a normal criminal who was hung on a cross, it would usually be days of suffering before they finally passed away. And so because of the relatively short time that Jesus endured, we might propose that this is when the weight of the sin of the world came upon him. That this was the moment where all of our sin, all of our shame and brokenness, and that of the entire world came upon him. And that is what crushed him. It wasn't this Roman torture device. It wasn't the schemes of men, but it was our sin. And so as we reflect on Good Friday and think about that moment on the cross, we can think of ourselves. We can think of the times when we choose sin, the times when we allow brokenness or vice or anger or separation from God into our lives. And we can understand that in those moments, God is not forsaking us. But in those moments, we are choosing to be separate from him. And with that sobering thought, then we can allow gratitude to come into our hearts. That Jesus was so loving and so good that he allowed those moments of separation from God, that separation from perfect communion since the foundation of the world and all of eternity, so that he would pay for our brokenness and our sin. And so now, because of him, he can say to us, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you.